Andrew Clennell. Andrew, let's start with Labor first of all. Joel Fitzgibbon quit, and he's caused a bit of a headache for Anthony Albanese along the way.
Oh, he sure has. He quit the shadow cabinet. I mean, suspicious timing. Could have done it at the end of the year or January, as Kieran pointed out before. So I can tell you for a fact that Joel Fitzgibbon believes Anthony Albanese has performed worse than any other Labor leader he has served under, including Simon Crean, who never made an election. Fitzgibbon's belief is that not only does Albanese struggle to get a line-up, he simply can't get a line-up in the media. He's deeply concerned at the prospects of Labor at the next election in the state the party is currently in, and he did not feel he could continue to serve with Mark Butler having the climate change portfolio. Also, I'm told that Fitzgibbon believed he was on a promise from Anthony Albanese that while he was opposition leader, he would visit a coal mine, and a year and a half in, that has not occurred. I believe Fitzgibbon is weighing up the prospect of running for leadership, acting like a stalking horse, and that he believes the best candidate to replace Anthony Albanese is the Deputy Leader, Richard Marles. Now, this language that Richard Marles used in the caucus about Joel Fitzgibbon today is telling, I think. According to one MP, when Albanese and Marles paid tribute to Fitzgibbon's service, Marles described how he went to the Northern Territory with Fitzgibbon recently and people, quote, love Joel because he speaks their language. Joel is pushing a position not many have been. His is an important voice. Joel's been really good for the Labor Party long term. He's always had the party's best interests at heart. He's been good at all facets of the job. He's good with people. He's always pushed for the Labor cause and been an important voice. The suggestion to me has been that you do not need the 60% vote of caucus to roll a leader, despite the caucus rules put in place by Kevin Rudd that says you do. 51% don't support Anthony Albanese. That would be enough. The Albanese forces, they're still confident their man's fine. They say Fitzgibbon flagged with Albanese he was going months ago, something he said at his press conference. They also say if Joel had a leadership tilt, he wouldn't even get a seconder. Let's listen to Joel Fitzgibbon today in this announcement, not rule out running for the leadership if drafted, and then talking about the support that his positions have in caucus.
You can rule out running for the leadership at all. You have no ambition to run for leader.
You know, one of the regrets I have is not running for the leadership after the 2019 election. I don't believe I would have won that contest. But I think a contest would have been good for the rank and file.
But you didn't say whether you would run for it at any time in the future, will you?
I have no intention of running for the leadership. I mean, I'd have to be drafted.
Mr Fitzgibbon, what proportion of your caucus colleagues do you believe share your views on the Labor's policy approach?
A substantial number, Phil.
More than half?
A substantial number.
Come on.
Well, you're asking me to speak for them, but substantial support. Obviously, I've been very much emboldened by the level of support I have in the caucus.
Should other people on the Labor Party...
Cross-factional, yes.
It's this continuing concern from Fitzgibbon and some of his colleagues that Labor just can't get the vote back in Queensland. A lot of that is tied to the coal issue, the climate change issue. Ed Husic now back in the shadow cabinet. Just 2 weeks ago, Joel Fitzgibbon brought the AWU and CFMEU leaders to Canberra to address Labor caucus members on what they saw as Labor's deficiencies in terms of appealing to blue-collar workers and attracting that traditional Labor vote. Now, here is Scott Morrison in question time making hay with the Fitzgibbon resignation today.
The member for Hunter has been driven out of the shadow cabinet, Mr Speaker, driven out by an ideological group of zealots, Mr Speaker, on that side of the House, who have no interest in the jobs of Australians in regional areas. That is the view of the member for Hunter. Come on board.
So Joel Fitzgibbon is not going anywhere. You know, he and Anthony Albanese say they're both great mates, go back a long time, but that doesn't mean he thinks he's a good opposition leader. And as you mentioned, with Richard Marles, he would be the person that he'd prefer in that position, by the looks of it.
That's my clear understanding, and I think it's a bit of a process of elimination, Kieran. So Jim Chalmers, 41, too young, probably doesn't want it yet. Tanya Plibersek, seen as too left. She and Joel Fitzgibbon don't get on. Chris Bowen, hurt by the franking credits policy and his statement, if you don't like it, don't vote for us. Bill Shorten's had 2 runs at it. Tony Burke probably wants it, doesn't want the support. Gee, there's a lot of people who'd like to be Labor leader. One of them is Richard Marles. He's been pretty loyal to Albanese. Albanese wouldn't see a threat coming from that front. But the concern continues to build in caucus that Albanese just can't match it with Scott Morrison. And not only could it be a situation where they don't win the next election, which I expect in the second half of next year, but that they go backwards, which would make the one after that hard to win as well. So these are all the concerns people in caucus have. There's absolutely no reason for Joel Fitzgibbon to quit now unless this is on the agenda. And I think as far as he's concerned, it certainly is. Let's see how things shape up in the last couple of weeks of Parliament in December. Anthony Albanese would be hoping to get through unscathed.